You are not the source of your wife's unhappiness, and that there is nothing you can do or stop doing that will make her happy.
I left the good guy. I left the guy that everybody looks at and is like, that's a dad, that's a husband, that's how it's supposed to be. He did the dishes, he cleaned the house, he took the kids to school, he worked all day, he made good money, he supported us. I mean, yeah, we had our problems, but he was the good guy.
This young lady is giving us the reasons why she left her husband. We will also be examining further reasons behind what she says, which might have made her unhappy in her marriage and ultimately leaving her husband.
So I was married for 10 years. I got married young. I was 21, barely, like 3 days, 21. Already had a baby. He was 8 weeks old at our wedding. And I remember feeling like my marriage was temporary from the beginning.
Like we say, women will always tell on themselves. Reason number 1. She felt like her marriage was temporary from the beginning. This could also mean that she felt her husband was not the best guy that she could get, and there were other guys in the marketplace which she would have liked to test out before marrying. She could have also wanted to go to college with her friends and get a degree, attend spring break parties, for some time, work for some time, enjoy the sex in the city life before getting married. So getting pregnant and getting married this young was ultimately a blow to her dreams for her life. This feeling could also affect how happy she was in her marriage, because it was not her choice to marry this man. It was the circumstances she and her boyfriend had got themselves into that led to their marriage. As she says, she already had a baby with him. So we can assume that the decision to marry the father of her child was the best choice from her family to keep up the image.
Like that I wasn't gonna make it. And I didn't know what that feeling was. I just thought it was cold feet, but it kind of manifested itself for the next 10 years.
Reason number 2. She felt like the marriage wasn't going to make it from the beginning. She thinks the feeling was cold feet. Let's explain. It is not that she felt like her marriage wasn't going to make it. It is that she did not love this man enough to want to put in all the necessary effort to make her marriage successful. Cold feet is defined as being unsure whether you want to do something, or to become too nervous and worried to do it. The feeling of cold feet could have ultimately affected her actions, efforts, and happiness in her marriage, and there was nothing her husband could have done to fix this.
And here we are, 10 years later, going through a divorce.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember that the feelings she describes had nothing to do with her husband. There was nothing in the grey-blue universe that he could have done to make their marriage successful, because she was unhappy on her own. Listen to what she says at the beginning.
I left the good guy. I left the guy that everybody looks at and is like, that's a dad, that's a husband, that's how it's supposed to be. He did the dishes, he cleaned the house, he took the kids to school, he worked all day, he made good money, he supported us. I mean, yeah, we had our problems, but he was the good guy.
Let's listen to what this wise woman says.
You are not the source of your wife's unhappiness, and that there is nothing you can do or stop doing that will make her happy. Nothing that you hear in marriage counseling, nothing that she asks you to read, not speaking speaking her love language, writing love notes to her, making her feel important, doing special things for her. None of those things will make your wife happy, because she is unhappy in herself, and she is the only solution to her unhappiness. And if you try to do the things you think will make her happy, she will resent it, find fault in it, and it won't be enough. And she'll find all the other things that she thinks you need to do to make her happy. So good men have to retire from trying to make your wife happy, and retire from throwing your actions and feelings into an empty bucket with holes.
Let's listen to what type of guys Western girls say they would like to date when they are in their prime.
Player. Player. Probably player. Player? Yeah, player. Player.
Jesus can't save these hoes. Why are you trying?
The reason as to why some women are walking out of a relationship or they are leaving marriages is because they had a fantasy man. Fantasy man, this is a man they created on their own, and this might have been caused by the life they lived. She always has a dream with that man, and that is why when she go to a relationship with a man and she'll be like, this love or this marriage is heading nowhere. Why? She still has that man in her mind. Not unless she let that mind go, or not unless she gets that man, of which it's very difficult, she will still have issues. She will still have trouble until the end. So never blame them. It's all about the life she has lived. It's all about...
You guys, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I totally understand where some women are coming from, because a lot of women don't want to build up a man. But here's the thing, why don't you just get with the guy who's established already?
The problem is that these already established men are in short supply. They have spent a lot of time to establish themselves, and so they see women who look for men like this as a bad investment. These men will only date these women for recreational purposes. Most women who aim for these men will end up raking up high body counts and developing an appetite for an unrealistic lifestyle, which will eventually leave them bitter when they are past their prime or older.
I think that's the dumbest thing on earth, to get with somebody, know they're not at your level, know you're never going to respect them, know you're never going to view them and they're never going to amount to anything you like because you have these high expectations. So why even tag this man along for this type of stuff? Imagine this man watching this interview. Imagine this man seeing what type of woman this is. I'd be pretty hurt, especially because he didn't cheat on you, he didn't lie to you, he didn't do anything behind your back, but because he didn't have enough, he wasn't good enough. It's so funny how women will sit here and say that men ain't crap, men ain't this, men ain't that, but look, you guys leave men for any reason now. He don't make more money than me, I gotta leave him. Oh, I feel like I'm better than him, I gotta leave him. Imagine if men got money and thought they were better than everybody else. You guys would hate that. It's funny how men will get to the top and then still date a girl at McDonald's. It's funny how men will get to the top and still try to help somebody else. And
we need to point out that when men get money, they help elevate their women, buy her nice things, make her look good, make her life easier, take her on better holidays. But more likely than not, when women get money, they think they have outgrown their men. They stop having sex with their man or reduce the amount of intimacy. They start looking for men that earn the same as them, or more. They think their men are below their level and lose respect for their men. Remember this from a previous video.
You're a loser. You're a loser.
Wow.
How am I supposed to be with you when I got these men all the time in my DMs offering me luxury cruises, mansions, all this different stuff, and then I come home to you playing video games in your underwear?
It was good when we first started dating.
That's 7 years ago. I've grown as a person, and you haven't. I've outgrown you.
Wow. So after all these years, you have to tell me that about getting pregnant by another man? We couldn't separate we couldn't have this conversation before we got to this part?
Things happen, but
I had to find out you was pregnant?
You weren't taking
How low
care
of you?
of me.
That's low.
You were not. The bottom line is that you were not taking care of me.
I'm a hard-working man.
I get into another man's arms.
This is what likely happens with the modern woman. She decides to work and advance her career. Then as she is working, she starts to develop an appetite for a new, unrealistic luxury lifestyle of new hair, new nails, new clothes, parties, mansions. Obviously she cannot afford the new taste she has developed. She meets other men who can afford it and they offer it to her for fun. She then blames her man for not being able to afford this new lifestyle that she now wants. She then loses respect for her man for being able to afford all the materialistic things that she's being offered by other guys. She then cheats on her man and blames him for pushing her into the hands of other men because he is not supplying the materialistic vanity that she now wants.
you guys get money and you guys become greedy. I'm sorry, but when you see a man or woman with money, that's the best type of time to judge them on. You know why?
Perfect.
Because you'll see their true character. You'll see how they act once they get a piece of money.
Perfect.
It's so sad to see people like this in this world. Like I said, you guys want to complain that love is dead and all this stuff. It's not. You guys are the ones killing it. In all reality, you guys are the ones making this shit die off more and more every day because of the actions and the behaviors that you guys choose to do. Y'all want to talk about ride or die. You don't got to ride or die and get abused or, be cheated on. That's not what ride or die is. But through thickness and thin, all that death to us part, sickness and in health, all that. When I see you guys going about things the way that you do, imagine if they were married. This is the reason why men don't want marriage. This is the reason why men don't want to do certain things with y'all.
Why are men so concerned about what you did in the past sexually with other men? The answer is actually complex and multifaceted. There are two general components. Here's how we can begin to approach an understanding. Ladies, have you ever had the experience, and I bet you have, of buying an expensive piece of clothing only to realize a week or two later that a discount code existed that could have gotten you 50% off the same item? When you learn about the existence of that code, how do you feel? Not very good, right? You may even have complained and tried to get the company to retroactively honor the code after the purchase. I've seen many women do that. And why do you do that? Because learning about the discount code actually changes your perception of the item that you bought. Whereas 2 weeks ago, you were more or less happy to pay full price for that piece of clothing, once you realize that you paid 100% more than you needed to, you can't look at the same item the same way again. It's not nearly as attractive and desirable as it once was. Why? Because it turns out you didn't actually underpay for something valuable, you overpaid for something cheap. And that is not a good feeling. So what does this have to do with sexual history and relationships? Well, a number of things. First of all, you have to understand that broadly speaking, there is a sort of arms race between men and women in the sexual marketplace. In a highly simplified version, it breaks down like this. Men are trying to get as much sex as possible from women for the least amount of time, energy, and money.
Yeah.
And women are trying to get as much time, energy, and money from men for the least amount of sex. This is obviously an oversimplification, but there must be at least some truth to it because we typically don't see the roles reversed. So when a man is actually in a relationship with you, in that he's taking you out on dates and listening to your problems and meeting your family and taking you on trips and supporting you emotionally, in short, when he is heavily investing time, energy, and money into you, and then he learns that you fucked a guy that you met at a bar an hour ago and who ghosted you the next day, he's going to feel like you did when you found out about those discount codes. That is, he's going to feel like a total schmuck for overpaying for something that you were obviously willing to sell for a fraction of the price. And I guarantee that will change the way he perceives you forever.
Think of what this lady said.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't kiss on the first date?
No,
You don't do that.
I don't do that.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
So when can a guy kiss you then?
When he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Huh?
So that long?
Yep,
So that could be like 3 months.
could be.
So no sex, no kiss.
No, I'm not having sex till I'm married.
Oh, you're a virgin?
Women.
Woman shared her regrets about not working harder to save her marriage now that her ex-husband is happily remarried. The 41-year-old woman shared to the True Off My Chest subreddit that she left her husband around 10 years ago, shortly after they'd had their first child together. According to this woman, there were no major issues in the marriage. She was a stay-at-home mom and had her husband wrapped around her finger. He did whatever she said, and she burned him out. When he grew tired of her demands, she started threatening divorce. She thought she was still a great catch and that she could do better than her husband, so she left. She ended up getting joint custody of her son and the house after the divorce. Now, 10 years later, the ex-husband is happily remarried with a baby daughter and a new house. The divorced woman, on the other hand, has been unmarried ever since. She's jealous of her ex-husband's new wife, saying, "She took my husband, she took my kid, she took my life that was once mine, and now I live in an empty house." She claims she is alone and miserable and wishes she would have been a better wife 10 years ago so she wouldn't be in this situation. As you can probably imagine, not many people were very sympathetic towards this woman. "You got what you deserved and he got what he deserved," one Redditor commented. Others noted that the new wife didn't take anything from her, with one saying, "You gave it away." This woman's story may end in bitterness and guilt, but that's not the case for most divorcees. According to research derived from family law attorneys, 80% of divorcees end up remarried. While divorce is a valid option in many situations, it's not always the solution. It takes two to make things work, and many people believe this woman reaped what she sowed.
Women.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button.